So, in case you've been living under a rock, the Supreme Court is preparing to hear two potentially landmark cases on gay marriage. Naturally, both sides of this issue are gearing up to explain why their side is right and the other side is wrong. And I'm here to tell you why they're both wrong, but the liberals are more right than the conservatives. I'd like to preface all this by saying that I think I understand the conservative argument better than most gay rights activists. I understand how for people with a strictly or even primarily religious definition of marriage, this is in fact a violation of the First Amendment. Imagine if one day the government said it's unfair that boys can have bar mitzvahs and girls have to call their ceremonies bat mitzvahs. We hereby decree that everyone has the right to have a bar mitzvah. It sounds ridiculous, right? Clearly a violation of separation of church and state, right? Well, for people who view marriage as a religious institution, that's essentially what gay rights activists are asking for. Now, the ideal way to handle marriage would be the exact same way we handle bar mitzvahs. Note how we have a legal definition of adulthood. When you turn 18, you're entitled to all the same rights any other 18-plus individual would have. However, this definition doesn't inhibit Jewish people or any other religious group from holding their own coming-of-age ceremonies and deciding who can and can't participate in such ceremonies. Imagine if we had a contract that two people could sign that would give them all the same civil rights we associate with marriage, be it tax breaks, visitation rights in hospitals, etc. Only we don't call it marriage, we just call it a civil union, and we give gay couples the exact same contracts/rights as straight couples. We would also allow each religious institution to have their own marriage ceremonies and decide who can and can't participate. This is the ruling I'm hoping for, but it probably won't happen. So why does the government need to protect the religious institution of marriage anyway? I'm sure you've heard this argument before. The children. Think of the children. We can't let gay couples raise children because it'll destroy society forever. Once again, I can sort of kind of see where the conservatives are coming from, because I believe that men and women are inherently different, and no matter how hard you try, those differences will always be there. It's not to suggest one is inferior to the other, just that there are differences. So it seems perfectly logical to suggest that each gender can contribute something to a child's upbringing that the other gender can't. There are plenty of studies done on this issue, but I have yet to believe there's any conclusive evidence saying that being raised by a same-sex couple is or isn't worse for the child than growing up with heterosexual parents. It's such a hot-button issue that everyone has an opinion on it, and it's hard to do truly objective research on the matter. Even so, if we assume that gay parents are automatically worse simply because there's no good evidence to the contrary, isn't that guilty until proven innocent anyway? But for argument's sake, let's go with this somewhat shaky premise that straight parents are better than gay parents. The part where the entire conservative argument falls apart is this notion that the government can somehow mandate that every child grow up in ideal circumstances. It's flat out impossible to guarantee every child has a mom and a dad and that they're both decent human beings. Sorry, but it is. And furthermore, if we believe they should try anyway, what happens to all the single parents out there who are currently busting their asses to give their kids the best life possible? Do we just say, sorry, you have to give your kids to someone else because they need a mom and a dad? Conservatives also seem to be oblivious to the harsh reality that there are more children in this world who need loving homes than there are homes willing to love them. Growing up in American foster care isn't a fate most people would wish on someone, and some of the systems in other countries are far worse. If you're willing to look a same-sex couple in the eye, a couple willing to take such a child in, love them, care for them, rescue them from the alternative, and tell that couple they would do more harm than good, you're an asshole. There's also so much more that goes into being a good parent than your gender. Let's be honest, straight doesn't automatically equate to being a good parent any more than being from Texas automatically equates to loving Guns N' Roses. So why act like heterosexuality is somehow a prerequisite for the job of parenting? Ultimately, it's hopelessly idealistic to suggest that the government can guarantee ideal upbringing to every child, and stupid to suggest they should try. 2 loving gay parents is still a hell of a lot better than the rough childhoods too many kids are currently enduring now. And if you had to choose between being raised by Neil Patrick Harris and David Burtka, or being raised by Britney and K-Fed, I'd like to see which one you'd pick.